Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. This week's show, we're going to examine the highs and lows of leadership. So without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Welcome to this week's Manager Matt show. Hope everyone's well and getting the results they can from the team around them. So this week is a bit of a different one because this is from a listener who had messaged in around a question. They said that they'd been in leadership for a couple of years and was interested in my thoughts on what were the highs and the lows of leadership. From where she was, she's struggling a little bit with some of the lows, and maybe she's not seeing the highs the way that she used to, or the way she wanted to. So, what a great subject to have a chat around. And please, if you've got any other questions or topics you'd like me to have a talk around, please send them in to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. That would be brilliant. So let's start. So, yes, we know, as leaders and managers listening to this, that it can be a lonely place to be. When you get your first promotion, you think you're going to get the keys to this special room with the magic chest that you open up and it's got all the ideas in and all the answers to everything, which you obviously haven't. And of course, the higher you go in the organisation, the more you put yourself on a bit of a pedestal, so the more that there's a risk that others around you can be quite snipey. So that's another part of it. But on the reverse, it can be so much fun. You can devote your time to developing people, getting those results, but there is both sides to every coin, as you say. And it is one of those things that you need to be aware of when you're going into leadership positions. And the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. So let's talk first around the highs. What are the highs of being a good leader or enjoying leadership? Well, for me, a good team. It's great if you've got a good team around you. Now you get your ups and downs with teams. That's the way it is. They're people like you. But if you've got good relationships with great people who've got your back and want to grow with you and enjoy it, and they know what's right, then it's a great place to be. It's fun. It's energetic. You can feel the vibe in the place. When you're surrounded with go-getters and go get things done kind of people. That doesn't mean that they're all yes people. You are going to disagree now and then. That's the nature of it. There's going to be hard times, but if you've got a good team, that just makes it great. And if you work in a good company that's got great values, I've been lucky to work in some great companies with really strong values, which are not just on the walls, they actually live them, and that's great. If you've got a boss that's good, a boss that gives you what you need, time to talk to them, understanding when things are going wrong, advice, someone you can turn to when times get tough, that's a great place to be. That's a real high of being in a leadership position. Results, getting those results. I mean, everyone loves a positive result. When you walk out the door at the end of the day and you've done well, you've been successful, even if it's getting out of a problem situation, it's a lovely feeling to have it. That's a great feeling. And of course comes some reward. There is some extrinsic rewards that comes with leaderships and you've got to be aware of. There is going to be money. Yeah. There's going to be status. Yeah. Those are all the highs of it. And you can't take that away from you. That's part of it. It's not all of it, but it is part of it. The right kind of pressure. Now, what does that mean? Pressure, everyone these days thinks pressure is negative, it's a bad place. And there is, there is the wrong kind of pressure. Pressure that kind of builds on you, the pressure that keeps you up at night, the pressure that wakes you at 5 in the morning worrying about things that are usually out of your control. But the right pressure pushes you to get results, gives you the tools that the business wants you to be successful. That's a great place to be. That's a real high. When you're looking at things like open and honest feedback, another high. If you've got a good team around you and you can get some honest feedback, then you're always improving. You're always wanting to push forward. You want to be in the next, the next person or the next level, or even if you're staying in the great role, being as successful as you can in that role, surrounding yourself. And of course, after all that, the feeling that you've done a good job, a thank you. a well done, a pat on the back or a handshake, an email saying great work. It doesn't have to be a voucher. It doesn't have to be time off. It doesn't have to be a big ceremony. A thank you. A chocolate bar on the table sometimes, and some of the people around me have just put a chocolate bar on the desk. It's just to say thank you. And that's a lovely feeling. So those are the highs of being a leader. Those are the real good things that you can develop a team. You take someone and you move them through the ranks. They do well. They get better. You praise them. It's a great place. You enjoy it. You feel the energy. Let's go the other way. Let's talk about the lows of being on there. As I've said, it can be lonely. It's a lonely place. Now, if you've got peer network around you that you can talk to, then, yeah, of course, use that. And I didn't mention that the highs, but if you've got a good team of peers around you that you can be yourself, let go, relax and enjoy their company, that's a great one. And also feed off their energy and feed off their experience. But the lows around you, some of them are obviously the reverse of the highs. If you have poor leadership, if you've got people who don't know what they're doing, they've been put in positions that they shouldn't be, that they're really kind of struggling in their skin to find their position, that can be hard for you. That can be difficult. When you're thinking yourself, I remember some years back being with a manager who'd been put in charge, and he was there's no word for what he was. I couldn't get my head around what or how he'd got the role. There seemed to be no reason or rhyme about it. Now, looking back, that could be me. That could have just been me, being negative. Maybe I wanted that role subconsciously and I felt like he was wearing my shoes or whatever. But, someone who was not a communicator, didn't want to engage in one-to-ones, left you in the dark, that it don't feed you a lot of confidence. It gives you a low, it drives you down. If you're surrounded by drains, people who are constantly draining you, people who are have got a half-empty kind of attitude, if you're going to spend a lot of time with those people, and remember, guys and girls, you're going to spend a heck of a lot of time with the people around you. So if they are draining you, then it's nothing worse than an 8-10 hour kind of shift or an email, oh, this is wrong, no, this is terrible, no real solutions, just problems, awful. One of the big things you'll find as a leader, and the higher up you get it, is the backstabbers. There's people that will, for whatever reason, want to put the stab in. They want to put the knife into you. I don't know why. I think the more psychological analysis might tell you that, but I don't really know. I don't know if it's a jealousy thing or it's something that they wanted or just for devilment. Thankfully, if you've got a good culture around you that looks after you, you don't get that if you're open with people and you're honest. But there is some people who want to put it in. You'd be better being stabbed in the front. We talked in the beginning about having good feedback. That's what you need. Someone comes and tells you there's a problem, you can do something about it. Someone tells somebody else you're a problem, they're just stabbing you in the back. So, be aware of that. Sometimes in a job, if you don't understand why you're there, you haven't got the why, you really don't understand your purpose or your process. You've been promoted as being a good person, are good at the job that they were, and then you get promoted up. And all of a sudden then you're struggling maybe to understand why you're there, what you're doing. That can really be a drain on you, can lower you, especially when you've been so successful. All of a sudden you think, am I meant to be here? What's going on? Am I doing the right thing? So, obviously if you've got a good relationship with your boss and you can ask him what you are expected to deliver, then that's a good place to be. But if you feel that you don't have deliverables or you feel a little bit out there, you can soon get bored, and boredom can definitely drive the lows of leadership. Feeling you're not safe, is somebody after you? I mean, that can be paranoia. Don't worry about that. It's paranoia sometimes. But there is a point where you feel that your job security is not there. That even if it's a joking remark from someone, they can undermine you and make you feel that way. And you've got to be strong to think it's just a remark. But, job security can be quite a big one for people because they don't feel that they're valued for a start, but they also feel that they haven't got a good sort of future with that company, or they don't see the next stage. Can definitely be a low of leadership. The wrong kind of pressure. We talked in the first part about that right kind of pressure, the wrong kind of pressure, the overarching, the hairdryer. I've spoken on the podcast before. I won't remember what episode it is, about the hairdryer moments where someone just goes at you, absolutely goes at you, like they think the football managers of the past, or they think they're some sort of celebrity chef, and you think this isn't appropriate. And I've left organisation because of that, because that's not how I work. I've always been open and honest with people. I've always been a person who wants to put their side over and be friendly and do the right thing. And when you get somebody shouting and bawling in your face, you're like, this isn't for me. What year do you think this is? So that's definitely something to to be aware of. And remember, these things, highs and lows, you might be on a high and you could be putting lows on your direct. So even though I'm talking about the lows of leadership, are some of these triggering moments where you think, actually, I do that with my team. I need to change. Left in the dark. If you've been left in the dark and you're not giving the information or you feel you're being left out, that can definitely be a low, because people look to you for ideas. People look to you to be the person who knows things. And if you haven't got the information or you've been left in the dark, it can be really, really difficult. And when this is another big one, we go to work for rewards, and there is rewards of being paid and all that, but the reward of doing a good job is one of the biggest things. So if you're doing a great job, but you don't seem to get that reward, you're not getting the thank you, you're not getting the pat on the back, you're not getting the handshake. Yeah, you don't want it every day. You're not going to be one of these sort of people who are egotistic and want to have someone saying things all the time. Oh, they're not saying how good I am every day. No, but you do want it now and then. So, great job, mate. Well done. I try to do that with the team. Great job. Well done. To be sincere, do it when it's real. But remember that can really drive your team down. And obviously, the lows of people not caring. People not knowing the name of your kids, not understanding what's happening in your life, really makes it hard for you as a leader, because you're already on your own a lot, and then all of a sudden you're not getting that praise. And of course that's changed a lot with the remote management that we do have. Sometimes you might not see someone for weeks on end in person. So it's important to have check-ins, keep your one-to-ones regular, make sure you're just having those calls that you would do if they're in the same office. It's always a good little tip. So what can you do? From the highs and the lows? It's all up to yourself. You're dealt a deck of cards in life. You might get aces, you might get kings. I don't really play cards, I don't know if they're good or bad. But whatever you do with those cards, that's up to you. The cards are random, within reason, in life. So whatever you do with those cards, that's up to you how you play them. But what can you do in this situation? Well, obviously, if things are good, then that's great. Enjoy it. If you jump out of bed in the morning and you're loving what you're doing, tell the person, tell your manager how good it is. Get involved in the company. Go out and do things extra to spread the word. Go on your socials and do some on LinkedIn to say how good your business is. Really go for it, because the more you do, the more it comes back. That's the way it works. If it's just okay, you're in the middle ground between high and low, what can you do to help? What can you do to change? When have you seen good? When could you push things back into those people? How can you be A, better with your team, because those are directs you can affect, and B, better with your boss? How can you help the bosses and the senior team see you, understand what's going on, and really bring them on board with where you think things are going in the business? And of course, if it's poor, what do? When things are on the low, well, if you can't improve it and there's no way you can do it, I won't give up straight away, but please try. But if you're a good manager and a good leader, that's when teams and that's when businesses lose talent. Because the talent realises it's not for them, realising all those negative things are happening, looks around and goes, you know what, why am I here? Life's very, very short. And there's lots of opportunities around there. And of course, every door that shuts, another one opens. So you've got to kind of look at what can you do and what do you want to do? Hopefully you want to, as being a member of the people listening to this, you want to change things. You want to make things better. You want to lead with purpose. You want to lead through others. You want to deliver. But if it's not for you, then there's always going to be someone else. And then they'll turn around and go, why did we lose that talent? Maybe they just don't think enough about what goes on, how the ripples can affect. So I hope that's answered your question to the listener. The highs and lows of leadership, it's definitely worth being in it. I still love being a leader. I still love being in the team. I love being engaged in the issues, both on the low, getting into the dirt, but also coming out and looking at the strategic stuff. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you enjoy it. But of course, there's going to be days that are going to be low, and there's days that's going to be high. But if they're getting too many lows, you need to change something. And if you're on the highs, what can you do to be any better? Speaking of highs and lows, and obviously this is built off a question from a listener, please send me some more. Send me some more questions, some more topics to engage in. Would love to engage on new and old. Just send them to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. I'll answer straight back to you and we can talk through what you want to know, listen, and then we can formulate a plan. And of course, I'm still looking for guests to come on the show. So if you want to be part of the show, please message us. We'll do some background stuff and then maybe get on here and have a good conversation around management and leadership. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening as ever and have a great week. And goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.